Asteya is the Sanskrit term for non-stealing. It is a virtue in Jainism and Hinduism. Asteya is considered as one of 5 yamas in the yoga school of Hinduism, and as one of 10 forms of temperance in Indian philosophy. The practice of Asteya demands that one must not steal, nor have the intent to steal another's property through action, speech and thoughts. Hinduism. Literature. Asteya is defined in Hindu scripts as the abstinence in one's deeds or words or thoughts from unauthorized appropriation of things of value from another human being. It is a widely discussed virtue in ethical theories of Hinduism. For example, in the Yoga Sutras, Asteya is listed as the 3rd yama as a virtue of self-restraint, along with ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya and aparigraha. Asteya is thus one of the 5 essential restraints in Hinduism, that with 5 essential practices are suggested for right, virtuous, enlightened living. It is part of ethical theory in Hinduism. Sandalya Upanishad identifies 10 yamas as a virtue in yoga: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, daya, arjava, kshama, dhrti, mitahara and saucha. It explains asteya as neither taking nor coveting another's property through the actions of one's body, speech, or in one's thoughts. Patanjali includes asteya in his 5 ethical precepts. The epics too mention asteya as a virtue. For example, in Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata, asteya is declared as part of Dharma and 10 boundaries of righteous behavior. In chapter 259 of Mokshadharma Parva, the Mahabharata explains asatya, along with satya, ahimsa and other virtues, are necessary for the conduct of the affairs of the world. These virtues are part of Dharma, the epic explains, and conduct by everyone when consistent with such Dharma produce happiness as its fruits. During anarchy, one thief appropriates what belongs to others. The same thief, explains the epic, is upset and demands justice when other thieves, however, rob him of what he has acquired by robbery. This means the thief instinctively feels theft is wrong when he is the victim. Dharma cannot selectively apply or favor a few, it must apply to all. Indignation for offended rights of property and the virtue of asteya is thus a universal necessity of a good individual and good society, explains the Mahabharata. Numerous minor Sanskrit scholarly commentaries from ancient India also discuss asatya. In the Saivite school, for example, Kaundinya's Pankatha Bhashya on Sanskrit scholar Laklisa includes asteya in its discussion and analysis of virtues. Hindu scriptures exist in many Indian languages. For example, Tirukural, written between 200 BC and 400 AD, and sometimes called the Tamil Veda, is one of the most cherished classics on Hinduism written in a South Indian language. It discusses the vice of stealing and fraud, dedicating chapter 29 of Book 1 on virtues to it. Tirukural suggests fraud and stealing creates misery and poverty for everyone. Savayu Subramanya Swami translates Tirukural's first 3 verses in chapter 23 as, "He who wishes not to be scorned by others, guards his own mind against the slightest thought of fraud. The mere thought of sin is sin. Therefore, avoid even the thought of stealing from another. A fortune amassed by fraud may appear to prosper, but will all too soon perish altogether." Further, Tirukural suggests that stealing and deception has a psychological impact on an individual. It states, "Men who know nothing but deception die little each time they contrive the crooked deeds." Non-stealing is recommended as a virtue in Tirukural. Discussion. Asteya in practice, states Patricia Corner, implies to not steal, not cheat, nor unethically manipulate others' property or others for one's own gain. Asteya as virtue demands that not only one not steal through one's action, one shouldn't want to encourage cheating through speech or writing, or want to cheat even in one's thinking. Smith states that the virtue of Asteya arises out of the understanding that all misappropriation is an expression of craving and a feeling of lack of compassion for other beings. To steal or want to steal expresses lack of faith in oneself, one's ability to learn and create property. To steal another's property is also stealing from one's own potential ability to develop. The sutras reason that misappropriation, conspiring to misappropriate or wanting to misappropriate, at its root reflects the sin of lobha, Mahakrada. Gandhi held ahimsa is essential to the human right to life and liberty without fear. Asteya is human right to property without fear. Asteya follows from ahimsa in Gandhi's views because stealing is a form of violence and injury to another person. Asteya is not merely theft by action, but it includes theft by intent and theft by manipulation. Persistent exploitation of the weaker poor is a form of asteya in one's thought. Related concepts. Dana, that is charity to a deserving person without any expectation in return, is a recommended niyama in Hinduism. The motive behind dana is reversed to that of stealing from others. Dana is a complementary practice to the yamas of Asteya. Jainism. In Jainism, it is one of the 5 vows that all Ravakas and Ravikas as well as monastics must observe. The 5 transgression of this vow as mentioned in the Jain text, Tattvath Sutra are: prompting another to steal, receiving stolen goods, buying in a disordered state, using false weights and measures, and deceiving others with artificial or imitation goods. This is explained in the Jain text, Sarvartha-siddhi, as prompting a person to steal, or prompting him through another, or approving of the theft, is the first transgression. The second is receiving stolen goods from a person whose action has neither been prompted nor approved by the recipient. Receiving or buying goods otherwise than by lawful and just means is an irregularity or a transgression. An attempt to buy precious things very cheaply in a disordered state is the third transgression. Cheating others by the use of false weights and measures in order to obtain more from others and give less to others is the fourth transgression. Deceiving others with artificial gold, synthetic diamonds and so on is the fifth transgression. These 5 are the transgressions of the vow of non-stealing. Difference between Asteya and Aparigraha. Asteya and Aparigraha are 2 of several important virtues in Hinduism and Jainism. They both involve interaction between a person and material world, either as property, fame or ideas, yet Asteya and Aparigraha are different concepts. Asteya is the virtue of non-stealing and not wanting to appropriate or take by force or deceit or exploitation, by deeds or words or thoughts, what is owned by and belongs to someone else. Aparigraha, in contrast, is the virtue of non-possessiveness and non-clinging to one's own property, non-accepting any gifts, particularly improper gifts offered by others, and of non-avarice, non-craving in the motivation of one's deeds, words and thoughts.